Hi everyone, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Tamika and I go by she and her pronouns. For today's topic, I wanted to talk about something that it might seem obvious, however, it's boundaries. And it's really important for those of us who are living with chronic pain to know what our boundaries and our limitations are within our own selves, but not to be afraid to set boundaries and limitations amongst those in our circle. I've been making a number of videos, as you've noticed if you've been keenly watching my channel, outdoors, because I've been spending a lot of time outdoors because my pain medication regimen that I'm on, the combination is just not working to its maximum impact. And if I don't move, I'll be in searing pain for probably the entire day and unable to get out of bed. And if you watch the channel, you know that I have a dog, and that's just not a possibility. And the combination of the pain medication that I've been given also too causes me extreme tiredness and extreme fatigue. So it's not very helpful for me to use during the day. During the day, I have to find other means in order to gain relief. And the nature trails and the walking, it's just one of the ways that it does help me. But in any case, one of the things that I wanted to reflect on is that when you're living with chronic pain, it changes not only the way you interact with the world around you, but it changes your personality. It changes the way that you behave and the way that you view the world. And the people who are in your circle, your close family members and friends, they may not understand these changes. They might be already fed up of hearing about you talk about your chronic pain. They might see it as we all have aches and pains, just keep it moving. Those of us who live with chronic pain know that if it was only that simple. So when it comes to setting boundaries, there might be certain people in your circle that you have to keep maybe at somewhat of a distance. Maybe that means declining invitations to some social gatherings, whether it's with your family or with friends. Or if you do decide to partake, maybe you have to have in your mind, how much of this can I really handle? Because when people start asking me certain questions, is that going to be upsetting to me? Is that going to be triggering me? Is that going to be causing my pain to be aggravated? And then now I'm in pain in a social setting, and then I'm not getting the supports and the care. You can really set a boundary as rigid and as porous as you like. For myself, recently setting rigid boundaries has been a safe place. It's safer for me to be on YouTube to actually speak with all of you, whoever takes the opportunity to watch my channel, than it is to discuss a lot of what I'm experiencing with my family members and with friends. Because at this stage, they've heard it, or pieces of it, or so they feel. And I can only imagine at this stage too that they've probably heard enough of it. You can't get to a point where you can burden people around you just because your whole life is revolving around pain. As painful as that is for you physically and mentally, those around you trying to support you are not professional caregivers. They're not professional healthcare workers. So for them, they may have a tolerance level, and you might have already exceeded it with that individual. So it's good to know who are your go-to people. Maybe it isn't your sister. Maybe it's not your brother or your mom or your dad or your aunt or your uncle. Maybe it might be only one of those individuals that's at the level that's able to provide you with the support that you need, that doesn't feel overwhelmed and burdened and burnt out. Setting boundaries is so important for our safety. Like I said, I've created a safe space by this YouTube channel. It's a space where I can share. I've been in pain all day today. I've been taking my pain meds throughout the day. And although I know I look to many people to be high functioning, I'm high functioning with a lot of pain. I spend a lot of time in tears. I spend a lot of time alone. And that's a choice that I make because for me, I don't want to be a burden. So I don't want to take it and give it to somebody else with the hopes that they can manage it. I'm barely managing it. So the last thing that I want to do is be known for that one family member that is nothing but coming with problems, burdens, and illness. I know we're to carry each other's burden. I understand that even as a principle, as a practicing Catholic, as a Christian. You also have to understand when it comes to chronic pain, there's only so much that people can handle. And they may not say it to you, but they might end up saying things to you in a manner that is going to aggravate your situation. Because remember, your pain is not only physical, it also is impacted on the emotional side. And what people need to understand in your circle is that it has changed the way you behave, the way you think, and the way you act. And it's changed your personality, whether or not you realize it. Maybe some of you watching today probably feel, no, my personality, I'm still the same person. I know that I am not at all anywhere near the same person I was 6 months ago, much less a year or 3 years ago. I have changed. I've become much more inward. I've become a lot more reflective. I've become a lot more sensitive to the things that are around me and outside of my influence. And one of the things that I learned recently, and the good things about boundaries in terms of keeping myself safe, is that I can draw those hardline, rigid boundaries. That's the season I am in my life right now. Sometimes I might even see individuals that I'm used to seeing in the community when I walk my dog. And I don't want to always open up and have a conversation. It's not like it once was. My pain situation, my pain management, my pain medication management as well has all changed. All of these factors have just caused me extra stress and have made it a lot more difficult for me to want to even be in the presence of others. As terrible as that might sound, just because I don't have the tolerance level. They may inadvertently say and do something that's going to cause me mental anguish, and that could be triggering a pain response, and they may not even realize it, and I can't necessarily hold them to account too much because I'm the one that is ill. So because I'm the one that is ill, I want to take the precautions to remove myself from certain situations. I realize there's certain conversations I don't need to be in. There are certain family members that I can have at a fairly reasonable distance and feel comfortable that way. That's safe for me. That's creating my safe space. In my home, that's my safest space possible because I don't have to worry about the judgment. I don't have to worry about trying to appease others, or I don't have to worry about putting on a mask and pretending that everything is okay. Porous boundaries are a little bit different. It might depend on the relationship you have with that individual. It could be a friend or a family member. And so there might be times where you're able to be a lot more open. Take advantage of those moments. And I also think it's important to express to the people in your inner circle, your care circle, that today is not a day that I feel I'm able to have conversations with you. And if I am able to have conversations, maybe they need to be fairly limited. Maybe there's certain topics that we need to avoid, or maybe I'm not in the mood or the space to want to speak whatsoever. For me, I struggle with that. My care circle, my family members seem not to always understand when I need to be isolated. I isolate quite a bit, but it is a strategy and a technique that I've used for many years, and I've had to use it even much more so now with the pain, because there's just certain scenarios and individuals that will do and say things that it's just not going to help me in those moments. But a porous boundary can be, okay, things are a little bit better, I can open up, I can be a little bit more vulnerable, or I can let a few more people in. But you have the right to be able to create those boundaries for yourself. Create your own safe space. What that looks like for you, I'm not quite 100% sure because we're all unique individuals. But it's okay to say no. It's okay to say, no, I can only do this much, or no, I don't want to do this whatsoever. Or maybe you want to partake up to a certain point and you know what that is. Communicate that. People cannot read our minds. They just assume that everything's okay because they can't see the pain. They can't see the sharp shooting, stabbing pain. They can't see the numbness in my, like right now, my hands are numb and tingling. That's not visible. You can't see that by me showing you my hands. If I don't communicate that to people around me, I can look like everything is fine, that I'm fine. Like, what's your problem? What are you complaining about? We all have aches and pains, except the pain is riddled through my entire body. It's not just a question of in my hand. It's starting in my hands and my fingertips. Right now, my fingertips are tingling and they're numb. The same thing in my toes, the same thing in my back, the same thing in my joints. So for somebody like me who looks normal, and yes, I use air quotes sarcastically, you can't see and pinpoint pain. And that is something that can be misleading to those around you, to think that everything is fine when everything is the complete opposite of what fine could possibly be. Your level of intensity of pain that day might be at a 3 and you're functioning and the pain meds are helping you and your daily activities of functioning is a possibility. But if you're at a 6 or going into a 7 and an 8 and up and up and up, and I've already made a video on the pain scale, so you all already know how I feel about that. Your tolerance level to be around certain individuals is probably going to be very low. Your ability to function is going to also be severely impacted in a negative way. And also on top of that, if you're someone like myself that lives with chronic underlying medical conditions, then it's just going to be all compounded. So I share with you today the importance of knowing what safe and healthy boundaries look like. If someone is close to you and they say that they love you and they support you, and you're trying to put a boundary in place and they're pushing back on you, I would question the validity and the healthy relationship that you have with that person. Because if they know that you're suffering and you're in pain, they should respect your boundaries, they should respect your space. They should respect that no is a complete sentence. And for many of us, especially for Black women, we are so used to carrying on our shoulders everybody's burden, everybody's pain and aches and traumas, and we never unpack our own. Boundaries is a great way to start. And if you haven't been able to do that yet, start small. Start with little boundaries. Whatever that looks like in your life, only you can answer that. Because you have to start somewhere to gain the confidence and to gain, I guess, you would say the resiliency to be able to put in more boundaries in place that's going to protect you and to keep you safe. So that's what I wanted to share with everyone today. The importance of boundaries, whether they be rigid or porous, they are necessary because it's about creating safety for you while you're navigating and living with chronic pain. So as I always say, listen to Black women. Amplify our stories. Our stories deserve to be told. They are not being told in any way, in any meaningful way. Listen to the stories that we have to share. Listen to the stories of your sisters, your aunties, your mom, your grandmother, your church sisters. You would be surprised to know the burden that so many Black women are carrying in silence. And I want to be here to be one of those Black women that breaks that silence, because I'm not carrying those burdens for anybody any further anymore. I physically, emotionally, spiritually cannot do so. So cherish Black women. Know that we are worthy of being loved. We are lovable, and we have a place and a purpose in this society, and our stories deserve to be amplified alongside our voices. Thank you, everyone. Have a blessed day.